Support for Radio Friends comes from OsteoStrong, aiming to improve bone density, muscular strength, and balance. Improvement in balance can be achieved by practicing on their Vibe Plate. Gains in strength and bone density can occur through weekly 5-minute, no-sweat coach sessions on their isometric machines. Each machine safely emulates a high-load impact on a different part of the skeletal system, enhancing bone density by stimulating your own bone-building cells. Visit them on Facebook or call for a complimentary session. Good morning and welcome to Radio Friends on this Thursday, September the 10th. Nice to have you here. And our next guest is not in the studio, but he's coming to us from his home office somewhere in Columbia, Missouri, on Skype. We have author John Howe with us. Good morning, John.
Good morning, Paul. Good to see you.
You look different today. You haven't had a haircut for a long time, have you?
It's been a long time since I had a haircut. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep.
But it's good having you here, John, talking about your book, The Foolish Corner, and one word that you said you wanted to be the topic, and that is hubris. Did I pronounce it right?
Hubris, yes.
Hubris, okay. Hubris is overconfidence, correct?
Oh, it's a fancy word for overconfidence. So if you want to toss it around at a cocktail party or something, that would be perfectly appropriate. Yeah. Okay. So it basically means overconfidence.
So how does hubris fit into the foolish corner?
Well, the foolish corner is about the human biases and kind of cognitive limitations that we as human beings have. So nothing unusual about that. But overconfidence is one of these problems that all of us are smitten with, at least from time to time. And there are a couple of obvious kind of implications of overconfidence. The first one, I think it's easy for almost all of us to relate to, is our roles as individual investors. And if we are overconfident, it turns out that can be quite detrimental to our investment performance. We tend, if we're overconfident, we might underestimate risk, for example. And if you underestimate risk, then you're really not prepared for like the grand decline in the market that we saw earlier in the pandemic.
Right. Let me stop you right here a minute, because right now, or at least when we're recording this interview, the stock market is doing very well. The S&P 500 doing very well. It would be very easy to become hubris over this. And
absolutely.
Okay. So you become very hubris, and then 3 or 4 or 5 months down the road, things could collapse. I'm not saying that they will, but then you got a problem, right?
Yeah, I think a lot of people are overconfident about their ability to manage risk, and then so if you do recall in the earlier part of the year, there was quite a downdraft in the market, and a lot of people weren't really prepared for that. So they were overconfident about their risk management, and many people sold and missed the exact rebound that you were just describing. Many of the market indices are near record highs right now. So there's been quite a rebound that a lot of people missed because they sold during the downdraft because they thought going in that they had command of the risk, and then they found that they really didn't.
What is the best thing to do when you're dealing with the stock market and investing? You look at it for the long run, correct?
Yes, I think the long run is exactly right. I mean, it does depend on your horizon. If you're like me, you're a little closer to maybe close to retirement, so maybe you dial down the risk a little bit. But really, two things I'd say. One is hold a well-diversified portfolio, and you can do that through mutual funds or things called ETFs, which is probably another discussion. And make sure that the expense ratios are reasonable, that you're not paying too much for the privilege of that diversification. And then I would say don't look at it too often. If you're looking at it daily or even weekly, you're just going to get upset and maybe do things that aren't in your best interest.
So, John, tell me about the book. What is one of the main topics in the book that people should be reading right now?
Well, I think the thing right now, I think, would be something called confirmation bias. And the phrase is fairly self-suggestive. And that is confirmation bias is our tendency, again, as human beings, we all have this tendency to one extent or another, to welcome information that supports a worldview or an opinion that we already have. And to try, basically tune out a bit news that may tell us that our view is wrong, or that that our world, our view of the world is not quite right. It's a little bit askew, and we see that in a variety of things. Obviously, here on September 10th, we're less than 2 months away from the election, so we see this in the political arena a lot. People kind of putting their fingers in their ears, and this is on both sides of the political spectrum. I'm not picking on one side or another. When news contrary to their views comes along, they tend to put their fingers in the ear and say, "No, no, no, no," kind of thing. And to some extent, the confirmation bias affects our investments too. If we think the market's going to continue up, then we're very open to information that suggests that. And we think we're kind of ready for another kind of downdraft in the market, then we're open to information about that.
So when you talk about confirmation bias, I believe we had this discussion before. It can also lead to you going on a buying binge as far as buying items for your house or in your or clothing. If you think you need them at that point, and you really don't, but you've convinced yourself that you do, that's confirmation bias also, isn't it?
Oh yeah, confirmation bias and most of these human biases and cognitive limitations talked about in the book apply to almost every aspect of our lives. I mean, our professions, our investment, our in many cases our relationships, and that's the kind of cool thing about this is a branch called of economics called behavioral economics, and I focus on a subfield of that, behavioral finance. And the nice thing is, though, there's wide applicability to many of these ideas to, again, almost every aspect of our lives.
So the book is not only dealing with your financial world, you can also interpret your personal life in the foolish corner too.
Well, I think there's something to that. Yeah, we might be overconfident about, how attractive we are or whatever. I think there's lots of possibilities. The book is mostly focused on personal finance, but
So
yeah,
where can they get the book if they want it?
the book is available on Amazon as print on demand, so you get it in a day or two, or you can get it on an ebook format. So I would welcome, and I would welcome, by the way, as the subtitle said, I'm a professor of finance at Mizzou, and it's easy to find my email on the website for the True College of Business. You're welcome to email me with any questions. Any of your listeners or readers are happy to do that. Thank you.
All right, John, stay healthy. Are you teaching in person or are you teaching only on the internet?
I'm just teaching online.
All right, John
Yeah.
Howe, thank you so much. It's HOWEJ at Missouri.edu if they want to contact you. Stay healthy
Absolutely.
and keep
Okay,
that mask.
you too.
Keep that mask
Okay.
with you. All right. If you'd like something
Okay,
you'd
thanks
like
a
to,
lot.
bye bye.
Enjoy it.
Something you'd like to hear or see, drop me an email. Pepperp at Missouri.edu. Bye bye.